Okay, I should be live. Oh, I don't want the microphone to be popping too much. Okay, maybe that's better? I don't know. The microphone seems like it's pulling a lot of, yeah, this is the most janky setup I've ever done for a live stream. This is complete chaos. Nothing seemed to work correctly in the beginning, and I kind of think updating the drivers was the wrong thing to do. Although I had a problem with the NVIDIA driver because Windows installed a super old driver when I installed the RTX 4080 Super as an eGPU. Windows went and loaded some driver from like last year, and then I couldn't use the 5080 Super laptop anymore. It got disabled. There was no way for me to enable it. So I was like, well, that's not going to work. So I removed the 4080. I put in a 7900 XTX, and then I updated the AMD driver because Windows did the same thing. It installed a super old driver for the 7900 XTX. It basically installed a driver from December of 2022. Windows literally installed the launch driver for the 7900 XTX, even though this laptop has a 8090M or an 890M, the Radeon integrated for Strix Point. So I ended up with like two Radeon graphics drivers simultaneously running. I don't even know how that works, but apparently that seemed to be actually working pretty good. So I might have to do a rollback because the unified driver seems to have some kind of weird problem. It might manifest where it's like the whole game just kind of like freezes for a second and then like goes normal for a while. That wasn't happening earlier until I updated that unified AMD driver. So it seems like there needs to be a different driver for the eGPU for the Radeon stuff. And then the NVIDIA one, for some reason, even when I updated the NVIDIA driver, I couldn't get my 5080 Super, so I had to remove the 4080, or not the 5080 Super, the 5080 laptop. And okay, let me just back up. This is a headset microphone. I'm using the microphone on the Audio Technica on the gaming headset. Open back. So, for people that are wondering what is actually going on, so I have here, this is probably, we were talking about the Black Friday deals. So this is probably the best Black Friday deal that I was able to find for a gaming laptop. So the only reason why I decided to get the gaming laptop is because I need a way. I was working on a series of videos for Thunderbolt and USB 4, and I got to a point where I needed to make a comparison between a laptop GPU and the Thunderbolt, the eGPU. And I couldn't do that because I was like, wait a minute, the only laptop that I have that has a discrete GPU inside is a really old Lenovo Legion 5 from the pandemic, basically from 2020. It has a 1650 Ti. And I'm like, that 1650 Ti, but the problem is that laptop doesn't have USB 4. So there's no way for me to compare the eGPU to that GPU, because I can't connect the eGPU to that laptop. So I was like, well, that means I need to get this. The other thing, too, is you look at Black Friday. Right now, the best deal is going to be this thing. So this is, if you guys can't see it, it's the Omen from HP. So this is the HP Omen. Actually, let me just bring up the... I've got everything up here. Let me see. Okay, so this is the data sheet for the laptop that we have in here for testing. This is probably, if you live near a Micro Center and you're looking for a gaming laptop, this is the best I've been able to locate. So this laptop is currently at Micro Center for $17.99. It comes with a RTX 5080 laptop GPU. I repeat, this laptop is $1,800 and comes with a 5080 laptop GPU. You are not going to find any better deal this holiday season for a gaming laptop, because as we know, RAM prices are going up and they're starting to affect graphics cards because of VRAM is going to start becoming a shortage. So if you are considering a gaming laptop, this is going to be the one to get, because this is the one that gets you a 5080 for under $2,000. The next best thing that I was able to find was a Lenovo Legion with like a 5070 Ti for like $2,000 or $2,100. So you're paying like $300 more for a worse graphics card that only has 12 gigs of VRAM. Whereas the 5080 laptop is going to kind of be the upper echelon for gaming laptops, because it has 16 gigabytes of VRAM, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but when you look at the price... Oh, is my microphone clipping again? It seems like it's too loud. Okay, maybe that's better. Or is it still... You guys tell me. If I'm too loud, let me know, and I'll just back down the audio. I think it's probably a little bit too loud. Okay, let me try again here. It still looks like it's going into the red. You guys let me know if I seem like I'm too loud on the microphone. So this isn't my normal setup. This is the jankiest setup ever. So we're going to have to use Paint to draw out how everything's connected, because this is messed up. Okay, so anyway. This laptop, 5080 laptop, for under $2,000. You're not going to find a better deal than this. I was considering a Lenovo Legion 5, like one of their 15-inch laptops that had like a 5060 in it for like $900, and I was like, no, get something that can actually probably beat an eGPU, because it'll probably have more bandwidth. So that's why now we have this thing in for testing. And so I'm someone who typically goes with Lenovo, but I did a lot of research on this on the weekend, and I was like, yeah, the Omen Max is actually quite good. And I have this laptop now. This is what we're streaming on right now. And here's the specs. So this one, the one that I'm talking about, is literally the highest end option, and it's literally on sale for Black Friday for like $1,800, $1,799, if you live near a Micro Center. Micro Center has the best Black Friday deals. So, AMD Ryzen 9. Well, maybe it's better if I just show you guys the task manager. Yeah, let me do that. I'll just do it this way. Go. Okay. So these are the specs on this HP Omen Max 16. So this is a 16-inch gaming laptop. It weighs just over, I think it's like 5.3 pounds or something. It is the heaviest laptop I've ever owned, although it is not a chonker like those Alienwares that are, or the Strix stuff from Asus. Those things are way too heavy, and the big Lenovo Legion 9s or whatever. So for those that aren't familiar with this laptop is basically like a Lenovo Legion 7, or Lenovo Legion 7, or no, Lenovo Legion Pro 7. I think that's the equivalent to this, because this is the 16-inch. The Lenovo Legion 9, I believe, is the 17.3 inch or whatever. So anyway, you guys can see here, AMD Ryzen AI 9 HX375 with the Radeon 890M. So the nice thing about going with this instead of the newer one that has the Intel Arrow Lake HX, the Intel Arrow Lake HX uses a lot more electricity, so it burns the battery a lot faster if you're on battery, even if you're not playing any games or anything. And the Arrow Lake, not only does it use more power because it is actually a full desktop CPU forced into a laptop form factor. That laptop, there has been a lot of reports of the thermal compounds or the liquid metal on these leaking through because of the way the tiles kind of, there's a little bit of a gap. Whereas this is kind of a monolithic APU. And this is actually a mobile chip, if you're familiar with Strix points. This is an actual mobile chip. So the TDP on this is like 28 watts typically, whereas the Arrow Lake one is like 55 watts. Now, the AMD equivalent to the Arrow Lake, like a 275HX, is going to be the fire range, so the 9955HX or the 9955HX3D, what everybody's been talking about, those CPUs are basically desktop CPUs. So if you're someone who literally doesn't care about battery life at all, and you just want what could have been an actual desktop without building a desktop for some reason, but you want the ability to move it around, I guess, then maybe Fire Range or Intel's Arrow Lake HX series is the better choice. But my experience looking at those laptops and testing them out, they get way too loud while gaming. And even when you're gaming and they're super loud, the CPUs are running very hot. The Arrow Lake 275HX is getting up to like 100 degrees Celsius. The AMD, so I wasn't able to test an X3D laptop CPU, so the 9955HX3D, but I would assume that it gets pretty hot, like 90 degrees or more. So for that reason, I don't really think those CPUs in laptops are worth even bothering with, to be honest. I mean, there's other things too with that. Those laptops are going to be heavier. They're going to have worse battery despite being super heavy and super large. So that's why I don't like those. So that's why I actually think that the Strix Point, or alternatively an Arrow Lake H, not an Arrow Lake HX, an Arrow Lake H, like a 255H, for example, or a 265H. That would be more of like the equivalent of this CPU. Those, I think, are much better choices. Those also have the NPU. So the Arrow Lake HX doesn't have a very good NPU for AI. I think it's like 13 tops. Whereas the HX375, this AMD AI Ryzen, this one has a 55 top processor for AI. So this is the best one there is, actually. This one beats the Snapdragon X Elite. This one beats Apple's AI thing, which is kind of lacking right now, and then because M5 is really not that good, it's just basically a refresh. And then there's the Arrow Lake stuff and Lunar Lake, and those are like 40, 43, 45 tops. So this is 55 tops on this one. This is the highest end one for AI. But no one watching this channel really cares too much about Copilot and those sort of things, so we're going to kind of skip past that. So anyway, HX 375 with the 890M. This thing also has significantly better integrated graphics than the Arrow Lake HX or the Fire Range X3D CPU. So it's going to be a lot better in terms of mobile, like battery life, battery performance, everyday usage. This is definitely the way to go. That's what I think is lacking in a lot of these reviews. Like a lot of the reviews on laptops, I was looking at a lot of them this past weekend. None of them actually address like real world usage cases. They're all just showing you benchmark graphs of playing like some random game like Cyberpunk or Valorant or whatever, and it's like, okay, that's kind of useful to know, but realistically, people are going to do a lot more on their laptop on an average everyday use case. So, and a lot of those reviews don't capture that. So that's why I always say take reviews with a grain of salt. You need to do your own like research. You need to actually go into a store and look at these things in person and play around with them before you actually commit to buying something like this, because it's super expensive. Okay, so this is the APU. Best integrated graphics there is on a mobile platform right now, besides the Strix Halo, which that's not really the same price point as this. And then the laptop, the Black Friday deal comes with 32 gigabytes of SODIMM, but it is easily upgradable. So I've already upgraded mine to 96 gigabytes. I literally just pulled this RAM out of my other laptop that I already had, and I stuck it in here. So I've got 96 gigabytes. Didn't even bother to check the QVL, didn't even bother to check with HP. I was like, nope, I know for a fact it's going to work. So I took it out, put it in, sure enough, works, 100% stable. So we got dual 48 gigabyte SODIMMs running at 5600 megatransfers. This is the maximum supported speed on the Strix Point platform right now. And then it comes with a Kioxia one, at least this one came with a 1 terabyte Kioxia SSD, Gen 4, X4. And then it has an empty slot. I added a Lexar NQ780 4TB for the games. So now I have like 5 TB total. A 2.5 gigabit Ethernet, and then it has the 890M integrated graphics. I updated the driver, but I think I might need to roll back the driver because there seems to be some kind of odd issue with the eGPU, which might show up on stream. I don't know yet. And then we have the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 5080 laptop GPU. So this has 16 gigabytes of GDDR7 in a laptop form factor. So this is essentially a cut down. I believe this is a cut down variant of the GB203. So it's not the same. Obviously, it's not going to be the same as a 5080 desktop. It's not going to have the same power limits. It's severely power limited being in a laptop. But I think this is the best way, or this is kind of the best you can do for a gaming laptop this holiday season without breaking the bank and overspending. Because I was thinking, like, how do you get a 5090 for under $2,000 in a laptop? And I looked at all the deals, and I realized it's not happening. I'm not going to be able to get a 5090 laptop for under $2,000. But I am able to get a 5080 laptop for under $2,000. So I think this is the best deal. You guys let me know if you've been able to find a better deal, but I think this is the best deal. So if you're someone who wants a laptop, a gaming laptop for whatever reason, I don't typically recommend gaming laptops. You guys already know my stance on these things. But I needed this to create content for the channel long term. So I wanted to, and I also wanted a second NVIDIA GPU that allows me to test things like frame gen and multi-frame gen and those things. So now I have it in a mobile platform as well as the 5090. So we have access to the NVIDIA stuff on mobile now. And then for the external GPU, because remember, the other nice thing about Strix Point is USB 4. So this laptop has dual 40 gigabit USB 4, and that gives me access to run external graphics cards. So I am running in my external docking station, or the external GPU, the Radeon RX 7900 XTX. Now, it was a real pain to get the Sparkle, which Sparkle is a company that makes Intel GPUs, but for some reason they make docking stations that don't work with Intel GPUs. They only work with AMD and NVIDIA ones, which is very odd. But that has more to do with Intel having problems with resizable bar. And if they don't have resizable bar, their GPUs lose like 40% performance. And when you use an eGPU, you do not have access to resizable bar on an eGPU. So that really hurts Intel's GPUs. So eGPU plus Intel GPU does not mix. I'm just saying. I tried it. I was going to do a video about it. I kind of scrapped that idea because it wasn't working. So anyway, we do not have resizable bar, and we're severely bandwidth limited on Thunderbolt 4. So you guys can see this GPU is not going to be able to get anywhere close to its true performance. We're losing about 40%, maybe 35 best case to 45% worst case performance on the 7900 XTX using it in an external GPU because we are losing bandwidth. And if we go here, let me change this to GPU Z. So here in GPU Z, you guys can see this is my Power Color Red Devil Limited Edition 7900 XTX. And you guys can see right here, GPU Z reports PCIe 16 lanes 4.0. That is what the graphics card, in this case the 7900 XTX, is capable of supporting. But the external graphics card enclosure is limited to a maximum speed of Gen 3 4 lanes. That's what this second number means. It means that the GPU is running at 4 lanes of Gen 3, which is a huge bottleneck. Massive, massive bottleneck imposed on the 700 XTX to the point where I actually think, I'm going to guess that the 5080 laptop is probably going to beat the 7900 XTX. Originally, I was going to test the 4080 Super, but I had this problem where I couldn't use the 5080 laptop GPU. Like Windows would disable it, and we got a code 31 in Device Manager saying this device cannot be started because of a driver conflict. So I tried a bunch of things. I updated the driver, still didn't work. So I removed the 4080 Super, and then I could get the 50. Actually, no. Even after I removed it, I couldn't access it. So I had to like do a driver update or reinstall the driver. Then it worked. So I was like, well, we're gonna use an AMD eGPU instead. So 4 lanes, 3.0 is all you get on the external GPU. This is where Thunderbolt 5 and USB 4 version 2.0 will help immensely, because Thunderbolt 5 eGPUs will turn this into 4 lanes of Gen 4. So it'll effectively double the bandwidth. Now it'll still be severely bottlenecked in terms of bandwidth, but it will only be like 1/4 of the bandwidth instead of, what is this, 1/8 of the bandwidth or something. So significant difference there. And if we look at the 5080 laptop GPU, this has, so it shows you right here that the 5080 laptop GPU is capable of 16 lanes Gen 5 speed, and because we're not using it, it's 8 lanes 1.1. Now, if I start using it, it's going to go to 8 lanes 4.0, because on the laptop interfaces, it's 8 lanes Gen 4, which is more than double the bandwidth that is available to the eGPU that I have connected. So this is probably going to perform better, regardless of mux switch, hybrid mode, or, you know, Optimus, hybrid Optimus, whatever. Regardless of any of that stuff, I think the 5080 Super is going to outperform the eGPU because the eGPU is so bandwidth starved. Now, there has been some talk of Oculink. Oculink would definitely get more of the true bandwidth, but I still don't think Oculink would be able to match the 8-lane interconnect that you get internally. Am I going to play Where Winds Meet? I tried it, and I thought it was okay, but I was like, yeah, we're probably not going to play much of this game, so I just kind of like quit after playing it for like 2 hours or something. Okay, so let's take a look here. This is 50-something frames per second, so I can already tell this is bandwidth limited, because Elden Ring Night Rain, this is Elden Ring Night Rain at 1440p, and we are not even getting 60, which we should be able to get 60 with this. So this is actually, this is running the game. If I lower the resolution to 1080p, let me see. Now it's, I mean, see, it still has that situation where you can see the frame rate drop. There's just not enough bandwidth. eGPUs, I'm rethinking my opinion on eGPUs. eGPUs for gaming don't seem like a good idea. Where eGPUs do seem like a good idea is for content creation, for like video editing. Anyone who uses a Mac in the past, back when Macs could connect eGPU like Radeon, whatever, the Radeon Mac Edition over Thunderbolt 3 back in the day, that was probably the most common use case for eGPU. You can open GPU-Z to monitor bus bandwidth usage. Oh, it's a good idea. Okay, well, it says, yeah, the bus interface is going to be 100%. Now, there's another problem that I didn't even mention. So, for some reason, with this laptop in particular, it's something to do with either the firmware on the Sparkle eGPU enclosure or the HP Omen Max. Like, one of these two things does not really get along with the other. Oh wait, this is the 5080. This is the 5080. We're looking at the wrong thing. Here we go. Okay. So you wait, does it show? It doesn't show the bus. That might be because we're using the Thunderbolt interface. Doesn't really show anything. Memory controller. Yeah, it looks like we're not gonna be able to see it on here. You know what I'm saying? Like, looks like it doesn't have it. Well, anyway, you guys can see the GPU isn't even maxed out though. See that? The GPU is like 74% to 91% utilization. Let me see. What does it say is my average? Let's go to average. Average utilization is 72% utilization on the GPU, the eGPU. I have a feeling the 5080 Super... Now, this may have to do with a couple of things. It may have to do with the way the MUX switch is implemented and how that interacts with PCIe tunneling coming off of what is effectively a Thunderbolt 4 interface, just called USB 4, but Thunderbolt 4 and USB 4 are essentially the exact same thing. So I may use the terminology Thunderbolt. I know that's politically incorrect, and I should be saying USB 4 version 1, but I'm too lazy to keep changing the terminology. So I may eventually just keep saying the word Thunderbolt 4, and I don't really care. So even though we're on an AMD platform. So regardless, it's not going to ever hit 100%, at least maybe not in this game. We may have to try a different game to see, but I really think that we're essentially limited by the 4 lanes of Gen 3. And guys, keep in mind, it's not just being limited by 4 lanes of Gen 3. There is Thunderbolt overhead that is also taking up bandwidth. This is the reason why, if we were using something called Oculink instead of Thunderbolt or USB-C or USB 4, we would be getting much higher frame rate. We'd probably be gaining at least 25% more performance because we would not have any of that USB 4 overhead that does the translation, sending this. It basically encodes this and does something called PCIe tunneling. It's tunneling the PCIe signal from the laptop over the Thunderbolt or over the USB-C/USB 4 interface down that cable into a Thunderbolt docking station. And then that Thunderbolt docking station is daisy chaining this signal further downstream to another docking station. And so now this is the time where I can bring up Paint, because now I have to truly illustrate how complicated this is, because this is a mess. And it's probably because of something with either HP or something with Sparkle. Because when I connect this eGPU to... We've already done a live stream previously with an eGPU featuring my ThinkPad business laptop. So this is... You guys may remember this from the unboxing video. The ThinkPad P16V or P16S Gen 4. This essentially has the exact same Ryzen APU. This one is the Ryzen AI 9 or Ryzen AI Pro 9. It's the professional one. HX370. And that one, I connect the Sparkle dock and it works perfectly, just one connection. I go and connect the Sparkle to the HP Omen Max. Nothing happens. The GPU LEDs light up, but the GPU fans don't spin. And my device manager never shows anything. I check USB 4 hubs and devices, and I do not see anything connected. So, I don't know why the Sparkle eGPU dock and this HP laptop don't get along. Like, they do not... It doesn't detect it properly. Until I connected my ThinkPad docking station in between the two of them, and then all of a sudden it works. So the way I have this connected, for those curious, I have the HP Omen. How do I want to draw this? That's not what I want to draw. I want to draw a laptop. So the HP Omen. This is the laptop. So that's the laptop. So this is how I have it connected. I have the laptop connected to a Lenovo. Yes, we have an HP laptop connected to a Lenovo ThinkPad Thunderbolt 5 docking station. And that thing does actually have a fan inside. So this is the ThinkPad. Oh, you guys can't see it because of GPU-Z on the way. Yeah, and this font is way too small. And now the font is way too big. Let's do size 24. Bold. Okay. So we have a ThinkPad Thunder TB5 smart dock connected. So yes, I have a AMD laptop, an HP Omen Max 16 connected to a ThinkPad docking station. And then that's the Thunderbolt 5 dock, but that doesn't really matter. It's not going to get Thunderbolt 5 speeds because the host is Thunderbolt 4. Alright, then I have this connected to the eGPU. The eGPU dock. So then I have that. This is called the Sparkle something. I have a YouTube video on it. eGPU dock. So there's a YouTube video featuring all of these things. There will be a YouTube video on the HP Omen Max soon. There's actually no really good review on this particular laptop, so probably gonna do one. If you guys look at it, this is the setup that I have to get this to work. So in here, we have the 7900 XTX desktop GPU. Inside the laptop, we have the 5080 laptop GPU. We have a 5080 laptop GPU, and we also have, connected to the laptop's display, we have a Radeon 890M. So we have 3 graphics devices. We have the integrated graphics, which is pretty beefy integrated graphics. We have the laptop GPU, and then we have an actual desktop GPU way over here. So the way I have the monitors set up, so I have 3 monitors right now, triple monitor setup. So we've got a 4K monitor from Innocin, and then I have 2 1080p monitors. Something like this. So you guys, I can see you guys on the left monitor. Paint is currently on the right monitor, and Elden Ring, Night Rain is in the middle monitor. And the way that you get it to use the eGPU, none of this hybrid, Optimus, whatever, none of that stuff, you physically connect the cable from the monitor to the external graphics card. So all 3 monitors are physically connected to the 7900 XTX. None of the monitors are physically connected to the laptop. All 3 of them are actually connected to the eGPU. This way, the 7900 XTX is driving all 3 monitors. And I have set in Windows, I specify the Innocin 27-inch 4K. This is my primary display. This means that when I launch a game, Windows will automatically favor the 7900 XTX for game rendering because I have set this display as the primary, and this display is physically connected to the 7900 XTX. If I set the laptop display, because I actually have 4 displays right now. I have my laptop display down here, I have the monitor in front of me, and then I have the 2 other monitors to the left and right. So I literally have a 4 monitor setup right now. The 1600p laptop display, the Innocent 4K, and then 2 22-inch Asus 1080p monitors on the left and right. So 4 monitor setup. If I were to use the laptop monitor is physically connected. This is how it is for every single laptop display. Every single laptop display that doesn't feature a mux switch, or even default, doesn't matter if it has a mux switch or not, the default behavior from the factory for every laptop, every gaming laptop, will physically connect an interface called eDP. eDP. What does that mean? Embedded Display Port. Embedded Display Port. This is the interface that laptop screens use to connect to the display driver from the laptop. And in this case, it connects to the 890M. Yes, the 890M drives the laptop display, and in this case, the 7900 XTX is driving the 3 external monitors because I have physically connected them to the back of the graphics card itself. So the 5080 laptop GPU is actually not physically connected to any of the displays. That means that if I want the 5080 laptop GPU to power or render one of the games, or in this case Elden Ring or whatever, I have to tell Windows to do it or let Windows decide. And when you let Windows decide and you don't have an eGPU, Windows will automatically, using NVIDIA Optimus technology or AMD Smart Shift, if this was an AMD Advantage laptop with a AMD GPU, it would use the discrete GPU in the laptop to render the frames, then push them to the integrated graphics, because the integrated graphics is the final endpoint that hands off the video signal to the laptop display. So that is how that works. Now, the Omen laptop has a... oh, we can put that back, I guess. The Omen laptop has an HDMI on the back of the laptop, out on the back behind it where the vents are. That HDMI port is physically connected internally to the 5080 laptop GPU. So we have embedded display port connected to the 890M, and the embedded display port connects to the display of the laptop. And then the HDMI on the back connects to the 5080. So think of it like if you want to visualize it as if it was a desktop, imagine if I had a desktop with dual graphics cards. One of the graphics cards was an 890M, and the other graphics card was a 5080. The 5080 GPU has an HDMI. You can think of it like, oh, this guy has an HDMI 2.1, and the 890M has a DisplayPort 2.1. That's essentially what if we're treating this as though it was a desktop, this is what it would look like. So I'm trying to get people to understand how gaming laptops work, because gaming laptops are way more complicated than a regular thin and light that doesn't have a discrete GPU, because you have to have like a mux switch essentially that will like if we're gonna do this, you have a mux switch if your laptop has a mux switch, most of the gaming laptops do, at least most of the ones like the one that this has one. And it allows it to basically, so the monitor, like let's say the monitor is over here. So this is the laptop screen over here. The default signal is going to favor this one. So this is the one that drives the laptop screen. So the way that it's multiplexed is you have, I guess I probably shouldn't have drawn that in front of it, but essentially you have the 890M going in here, and you have, ignore this and this, ignore these. Okay, let me delete those. Okay, well, we messed that up. Basically, you have, if you have a mux switch, all it means is you have the ability to tell, like let's say this is the monitor. The monitor is still over here, the laptop monitor. Laptop screen. This guy's connected here. This guy's connected here, but he's also connected here. And essentially what happens is, well, this guy's connected here. Let's just do it this way. So basically, if you tell Windows, or if Windows says we're going to render the game using the 5080 laptop GPU, it's going to render a frame, it's going to push that frame to the 890M, then the 890M will then forward the frame over the eDP, the embedded display port, and then it will go to the laptop screen. If you have a mux switch, the mux switch, the difference between, well, the mux switch, as the name implies, it allows it to have something like this. And here, the selector, by default, selects the integrated graphics. So the signaling would go 5080 renders the frame, it forwards it to the 890M, the 890M forwards it to the multiplexer. The multiplexer is switched to select from the 890M, ignoring the 5080, and then it will feed that frame to the laptop screen. That is how it works. Now, if you have a mux switch, the mux switch allows you to make it select an alternative path, which means you can actually make it go and select the 5080 direct. Therefore, the 5080 will be able to render the frame, pass it straight to the mux, ignoring the integrated, or skipping the integrated graphics, and then going out that way. That's how a mux switch works. The mux switch selects. It allows it to select either integrated, it can read the frame data from the integrated, or it can read the frame from the discrete. That's how it works. Now, what happens when you introduce an eGPU? Because now we have an eGPU. Now, the eGPU, in this scenario, you can add the eGPU here, and it will have provisioning to allow the, in this case, 700 XTX, it will basically link, if we're going to use the laptop screen, because remember, the only thing that a mux switch applies to in this scenario is the laptop screen. This has nothing to do with external monitors. This is literally just the laptop screen. So if you're, like in this case, if we're rendering the game using the 700 XTX, which is an eGPU, over the Thunderbolt, it has to get into a tunnel. That tunnel will drive it up over the cable, then de-encapsulate it, and again, once again, it will feed it to the 890M, and then the 890M will feed it to the mux, which will select the 890M, and it'll read it that way. So you're losing an awful lot of bandwidth by doing this, because first of all, you're incurring the latency going through the integrated graphics, and then you're also losing a lot of latency traveling through the PCIe tunnel inside USB 4. So that has a lot of overhead that slows down the link significantly. So even if somebody has like an RTX 5090, the 5090 will basically barely do anything because the whole pipeline going through the 890M which is actually not the bottleneck. The big bottleneck is actually this. It's the big Thunderbolt tunnel that it has to travel through. That thing slows down the signaling enormously because your bandwidth limited. So even if you have a 5090 in here, I mean, it's losing like 40% of its performance. So I mean, it's really fast, but it's like it's going so fast, but yet the work that it's doing is getting wasted by all that overhead. So anyway, hopefully that helps you guys understand how gaming laptops work. And this is the reason why I don't really like if someone wants to play games. The only situation where a gaming laptop makes sense in my mind is if you're living some kind of nomadic lifestyle. You're traveling all the time. You're away from your home. Um, and you want to play games occasionally, then it kind of makes sense. Then I understand because an eGPU is not practical in that scenario at all compared to just having a gaming laptop that includes the discrete GPU inside the laptop. So those are the scenarios where it makes sense to me. Otherwise, gaming desktops are so much better. We already know this. All the enthusiasts know this. You avoid all of the overhead with this. You avoid this kind of thing happening. I mean, it's you don't have to worry about the mux switch. Like no one cares. It's like there's just so many extra layers included in here that are so confusing. And the weird thing that I ran into is the fact that I couldn't get my Sparkle dock to work with the HP laptop. Like if I plug it in directly, I have to go through another dock. Like, both of these devices are USB 4. So why am I having to daisy chain through a ThinkPad dock to get it to... I don't know. Because I don't have to do that with my ThinkPad. The ThinkPad doesn't need the ThinkPad dock. It can just connect straight to the Sparkle. So that is hilarious. But anyway, that is what I had to do to get this setup to work. So let's go ahead and let's get back in here now. Actually, I'm going to get out of this game. I'm going to try rendering the game now using the 5080 laptop GPU. So the way this is going to work, this is probably going to get awful performance because we're going to go through the Thunderbolt. So now what I'm going to do, once this game quits, for some reason the Radeon GPU is still doing work. I don't know why. Okay, it's stopping. I don't know what it's doing though. Like, why is it at 53% utilization? Huh. I don't know. Anyway, Elden Ring, Cloud Air. Okay, that's nice. Okay. So let's just go to Elden Ring. And I'm going to force this game. I'm going to force the game to run using the 5080. Let Windows decide. Oh boy, it's telling me like, what do you want to do? High performance. It's already wanting to do the 700 XTX. So now we're gonna select the GeForce 5080. Manually select that. Why did it have a problem syncing? I don't know. Now it's synced. Okay, we're starting the game up. And we're gonna launch this game and force it to use the GeForce RTX 50. And sure enough, I can see it firing up. That looks good. Oh, hopefully this shows up. Or maybe because we're going through... And you know how I can tell? Well, we can use GPU-Z to verify, but the way I can tell is the laptop is starting to get loud. I can hear the fans on the laptop. When I was playing the game through the 7900 XTX, the laptop was real quiet because the AMD Ryzen HX 375 is very energy efficient. So it wasn't loud at all. But now I know for a fact I'm using the 5080 because I can hear the laptop fans. So that's a good sign. And sure enough, I can put my hand over here on the 700 XTX and it is quiet, although for some reason we're not capturing the game. Let's see, maybe that'll come in. May have to capture it a different way. May have to use window capture. Let's see. No? Didn't work either? Oh, wait. There we go. So we have to use... I'm having to use window capture to get it. Game capture is not picking it up for some reason because... Probably because OBS would have to be restarted so that it can hook in because the 5080 is going through the mux or whatever, so that's why. Anyway, so the overlay is coming through, that's good. So there is a little bit of performance loss, but I can tell, see 58, and we are playing the game at 1080p. Same settings as last time, but now we're going from like, instead of 47 to 60, we're at like 59-60, so this is definitely better. Let's, and we'll look at the bandwidth stuff. Let's crank this up to 1440p. Because this is the proper... And sure enough, it didn't really affect... Okay, there's a little bit. I can feel the dips a little bit. And then if we bring up GPU-Z here... You guys can see bus interface load is at 100% on the 5080 laptop GPU. And it is pulling about 60-something watts. We will try a different game. Elden Ring Night Rain is not a very demanding game. It caps at 60. There's no way to make the game... I mean, I guess unless you want to like put a mod on there and get banned from the anti-cheat. But this game is capped at 60 because it's From Software, and you know how From Software is. So, but we are losing some performance going through the mux. Because, but the thing is, we have so much more bandwidth. It looks like it stuttered some. Yeah, it's stuttering a little bit, but the thing is, the reason why I'm rethinking my opinion a little bit on discrete GPUs in laptops versus an eGPU is because you guys can see here, this is 8 lanes of Gen 4. This is 8 lanes of Gen 4 on a laptop GPU versus 4 lanes of Gen 3 on a desktop GPU. And the desktop GPU, 7900 XTX, for those that don't know, that thing is as powerful as a 5070 Ti desktop. 5070 Ti desktop is more powerful than 5080 laptop GPU. Definitely is. But because we're basically restricting the bandwidth to 4 lanes of Gen 3, and then on top of that, we're adding Thunderbolt 4 overhead, we are severely bottlenecking that 7900 XTX, where here, the 5080 laptop gets 8 lanes of Gen 4 over the SoC. Then through the mux, using the Optimus, it's able to multiplex through the 890M out to the monitor. So definitely, now actually, hold on a second. I got to rethink that. We're actually not doing that. We're actually not going through the 890M at all. We are actually going through, well, I think we are still going through the 890M. Yeah, we're going through the 890. No, we're not. We can't be because we're going out the Thunderbolt interface. So yeah, this is multiplexed over USB 4 down to the 7900 XTX, and that's the reason why when I bring up, yeah, the 7900 XTX is duplicating a lot of the work. So if you guys go here, if I bring up Task Manager, you guys can see the 5080 laptop is doing about like what 50% utilization right now, and the 7900 XTX is doing the same exact load. And then because the 7900 XTX is physically connected to the monitor, so the 5080 has to go through it has to feed the 7900 XTX so that the 700 XTX can output the game to the monitor, because the monitor is my primary display, not the laptop display. So the integrated graphics here is doing absolutely nothing, and you guys can see that the 890M is sitting there with 0% load on the integrated graphics, despite us using a laptop. And this is Hybrid Optimus. This is the Hybrid Optimus, and the Mux switch is in there, and all this stuff is going, and then USB 4 is in there. So you guys are starting to realize now why I keep saying, man, USB 4 is so good. I can't buy a laptop without USB 4. I can't buy a desktop without USB 4. And next year, with Zen 6, this is kind of a preview, but Zen 6 most likely will optionally have the ability to utilize USB 4 version 2.0, which means 4 lanes of Gen 4 instead of 4 lanes of Gen 3, effectively doubling the bandwidth. So instead of 40 gigabit USB 4, Zen 6 will most likely, at least on mobile, I don't know about desktop, desktop might be optional, but mobile will most likely introduce 80 gigabit USB 4. That's USB 4 version 2, which is basically Thunderbolt 5. And it makes sense because Intel has the Barlow Ridge chipset for Thunderbolt 5 today as an optional add-on for their Arrow Lake platform. So Zen 6, AMD is basically a generation behind, but both Intel and AMD, neither one of them today support USB 4 version 2 integrated. And integrated is superior to chipset-based Thunderbolt 5. So Intel only has chipset-based Thunderbolt 5 today. AMD has nothing right now. And I'm expecting Panther Lake and Zen 6 to introduce integrated 80 gigabit USB 4. Integrated USB 4 is lower latency, less overhead versus chipset-based USB 4, so it'll be better. And that's one of the videos I'm working on, is showing the difference between integrated USB 4 versus like chipset-based USB 4. Because what I've found is I have my Thunderbolt 5 docking station. My Thunderbolt 5 card, the Thunderbolt 5 add-in card in my Z890 Maximus Hero is worse with my eGPU than the straight-up Thunderbolt 4 port that goes straight into the Arrow Lake CPU. So yeah, so it's weird because it makes Thunderbolt 4 look faster than Thunderbolt 5. That's because I don't have any Thunderbolt 5 peripherals. All my peripherals are Thunderbolt 4, so if they plug into integrated Thunderbolt 4, they get the best performance. You plug them into external Thunderbolt 5, or what I call chipset Thunderbolt 5, they lose performance because they're going through the overhead of running it through a chipset. So, but I think people who know a lot about Thunderbolt and PCI tunneling, they already know this. So, but this is an interesting topic that's rarely ever discussed in the tech enthusiast community. So anyway, 5080 laptop is doing its thing, eGPU doing its thing, integrated graphics doing absolutely nothing, and that's pretty much it. So you losing a little bit of performance because I can see it drops quite a bit. Let's do I don't know if I want to do an actual run, like because that's gonna be like 40 minutes. Let me see, how long have I been live? I've already been live for 1 hour. I can't believe I've already been talking for 1 hour. Well, anyway, let's try a different game, I guess. All right, so that's Night Rain. Let's fire up Monster Hunter. This is probably gonna be the worst case scenario. I don't know what to expect with this. This game is like scary hard to run. I could try Dragon's Dogma 2. So I've got Dragon's Dogma 2 on here, and Monster Hunter Wilds, and Final Fantasy 14. I have the Monster Hunter Wilds benchmark, actually, so we could just run the benchmark instead of the actual game. Okay, let's do, oh, you were talking earlier, Neo 2 is on sale for, okay. Yeah, that's a very good game. Alright, so I'm gonna try launching the Monster Hunter Wilds benchmark with, let's do the eGPU first. eGPU first, then we'll do 5080 laptop. So we're gonna start that up. Oh, you know what? It's gonna want to recompile. It's gonna want to recompile because it's because I updated the drivers. I updated the NVIDIA driver and I updated the AMD driver. It's gonna want to do a double compile, man. Am I gonna play Where Winds Meet? No, I don't have it installed on here. Okay. Oh, great. The game crashed. I tried launching it and it crashed. It's probably so confused. Man, Monster Hunter is one of those games, man. It's like the game tries to load up and it's like I can't fit through the mux. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Okay, I'm gonna try just, you know what? Let Windows decide. I'm just gonna let Windows decide. Figure it out, Windows. Just do something. Now you need a eCPU. Oh man, it's crashing. Yeah, I don't know. I think I may have messed something up when I okay, I'm gonna try. I'll force it to the 5080 and see what happens. Like, this is. Monster Hunter Wilds benchmark. Let's launch off a 5080 laptop. 5080 laptop, go. Please work. It says not responding, but I haven't gotten the error message that it's crashed. So maybe it's gonna work this time. I mean, I'm not gonna bother it. It's trying to do some stuff. It still says not responding. I mean, I can't tell what's going on. I mean, it hasn't frozen yet. The NVIDIA GPU is doing stuff. Like, it's doing something. I don't know what's going on. It's a black screen right now. Okay, it looks like it's not frozen. Oh, okay, that's a good sign. I see the radeon GPU doing stuff too. Like, this is confusing, man, because of the reverse mux switch going through Thunderbolt 4, it's running the frame on a 5080, then it's feeding it over a PCIe tunnel into the 7900 XTX, and then the 7900 XTX has to just hand it off to the monitor. And there's a Thunderbolt 5 dock in the middle. This is the most complicated. I told you guys, this is the most janky setup I've ever done. It's so jank. Like, I mean, look at this. Why does it do that? Like, oh, because I keep resizing it. Look at this. We have a laptop. We have three monitors connected to a eGPU. Nothing's connected to the laptop. That's the funny thing. Oh, the Thunderbolt 5 ThinkPad dock is connected. And the only reason why this is here, and I know this is slowing down the connection even more because you're daisy chaining, it's having to regenerate signaling. The only reason why this is here is because the HP Omen Max doesn't like detect the Sparkle GPU dock. Like I can plug the Sparkle into my ThinkPad and it works totally fine. I plug it into the HP laptop, it doesn't work. So, but you go plug in a Lenovo competing product into the HP, that thing works. Then I plug this into that thing, and then that thing, it also works. Then it shows up in Windows. So I don't know, man. That to me sounds like HP needs to do something. That sounds like a firmware thing or something going on there. Or Sparkle has to do a firmware update, but Sparkle works with Lenovo laptops. It's not working with this one HP laptop, so I don't know. Oh, and for those wondering what's going on, shader compile is going on. Let me see if I can even show this. Like, last time it didn't work. Please don't crash the game when I hook into this. Yeah, this doesn't seem to work. Wait, okay, well, game capture is completely broken. So we'll just have to go through this. And then resize it again. Shader compiling. I got the Omen yesterday. I still think this is the best deal, man. This is the best Black Friday deal. I was looking for Black Friday deals, and I was like, man, what's the best laptop you can get? Basically, the challenge was get a 5080 laptop for less than $2,000. Try finding a 5080 laptop for under $2,000. I succeeded. Plus, I got 5% off. I got 5% off more because of Micro Center. So it's like it was already. So it's basically $17.99 and then 5% of that off additional. So yeah, that's pretty much the best Black Friday deal you're gonna find if you're in the market for a gaming laptop. I mean, the next best deal is probably like a Lenovo Legion for 2000 or 2100 with a 5070 Ti and a CPU that runs 100 degrees Celsius and gives you like less than 2 hours of battery life. I know, man. Micro Center needs to sponsor me, man. I advocate for Micro Center more than like any other tech tuber. I mean, okay, I guess Jay's 2 Cents has some kind of partnership, sponsorship with Micro Center, but dude, like it's so obvious that it's an advertisement when the way he like works with Micro Center. But me, it's literally me buying stuff for Micro Center like all the time, right? So it's like, yeah. Yeah, I can tell the 5080's doing work because I can hear that laptop, man. The laptop fans are going. The laptop fans are going loud right now. I can hear them. I can hear. Oh, it's not just the 5080 though. It's the CPU. The Ryzen CPU is cranking up. It's going all out. Yeah, it's going all out. No wonder. Yeah, it's going all out. Look at that. The Ryzen AI 9 HX375. This is actually the highest end Strix Point laptop or Strix Point. This is the highest tier. The 375 is like the best Strix Point CPU. Is a 5080 laptop worth it? You're saving up for one? Well, I mean, if you're saving up for one, I mean, I don't know how long it's going to take, but the Black Friday deal is now. Are you able to get to a Micro Center? Seems like Jay goes into a Micro Center and spends 2 to 3 thousand on his employees or friends every month. Oh, this time next year you'll be able to get one? Okay. Well, I think this is the sweet spot. This is the sweet spot. So the problem with laptop GPUs, they all have like 8 gigabytes of VRAM. 8 gigs of VRAM except this one and the 5070 Ti. The 5070 Ti has 12 though, which is like 12 is like the minimum. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to be less than 12. So the 5070 Ti is literally right there. It's like on the edge. It's like playing Tetris and it's like about to like game over, you know what I mean? It's hanging on. The 5080 has a little bit more legs because it's 16 gigs. The 5090 laptop is stupidly overpriced. It's totally not worth it, even though it's 24 gigs of VRAM. It's just too much money, man. You got the Lenovo ThinkPad Thunderbolt 4 dock at 150. That's a pretty good deal. Yeah, that's a good deal, man. Yeah, the Lenovo docks, the ThinkPad dock is good. I've been using the Thunderbolt 4 dock for years. It works perfectly fine with USB 4 computers. So like I use it with Ryzen laptops that have USB 4. Like best example right here. The ThinkPad P16S. This thing has the Ryzen HX 370, the Pro version. This thing works with that Thunderbolt 4 dock that you have. That's what I use every single day. Did you manage to find at least one gaming laptop with a discrete AMD GPU? So there is one. It's not cheap though. It's the Framework 16. If you want a laptop that can be a gaming laptop but also not be a gaming laptop, Framework 16, man. That I want the Framework 16 so bad, but it's so expensive. It's over 3,200 something dollars. And it's like you're getting that and you can't get that with a 5080. It comes with a 7700S. It's modular though. So you can remove it and you can upgrade. So right now Framework offers two GPU options. And you can buy both of them and you can swap them out. If you want to use NVIDIA, put in the NVIDIA one. If you want to swap out and use the Radeon one, put in the Radeon one. So Framework is like the best. Framework 16 Framework is Strix Point. Framework 16 is Strix Point. Yes, dude, Framework. If you guys have money to spend on a laptop and you're okay with like supporting a really good company, Framework is what I recommend, dude. Framework. Oh man, I wish I could get a Framework. The problem is you gotta wait for them to ship it, and it's gonna take a while. So let me see here. I wanted to get one, but then I started looking at the Black Friday deals, and dude, the Black Friday deals, man, that HP Omen Max for 1,800 bucks with a 5080 and a Ryzen HX 375. It's like that is tough to beat. Hold on, let's go over to Framework. What happened to Framework? Why is it like not showing up? What happened? Oh, it's behind it. So look, check this out. This is the laptop. This is the laptop. Like if you want if you're someone who wants to get into Linux, this is the laptop to get. If you're someone who wants a laptop that you'll keep for literally a decade and just change out parts as though it was a desktop doing upgrades here and there, this is the laptop. So it is available with either the Ryzen AI. Now you can get one with the previous generation hardware and you can save a lot of money that way. Like you can get like a Zen 4, the Ryzen 7000 series mobile. But basically this is the latest and greatest. So you can get the HX 370, ships next month. But the problem is, like, I don't know when exactly that will be, right? They ship in batches because they're a small company. So basically, I'll show you like what I was gonna order, right? Like I was gonna do HX 370 because you got to go HX. And here's where it's cool: expansion bay module. You can get either an empty shell, which means you'll just have the Radeon 890M, or you can get a NVIDIA GeForce RTX 5070. This is brand new. Brand new. or you can save $300 and get, and here's what Marcelo was asking about. Can you get one with an AMD? Here it is. Radeon RX 7700S, and for $300 more, you can get a 5070, or you can order both. But what I was going to do, I was going to order the Radeon one because 5070 laptop is 8 gigs of VRAM, which is like trash. So I was like, I don't want to pay $300 extra for, the same amount of VRAM as this. So, but I was also going to add the shell so I can take it out, and then I was going to do see, here's where it gets messy because of the memory. So I was going to do 96 gigs, although technically I didn't need to do that. I was going to do none because I already have 96 gigs of DDR5 5600. So I was going to do the 4 terabyte Western Digital, and I was going to do the 2 terabyte 2230. Sometimes these 2230s are hard to find that are of actual good quality. So I was just going to go ahead and do that. And then none, bring your own operating system. And then I want this GAN charger, 240 watt, USB-C, bezel black, keyboard, whatever, the English one. And then, or for those in Portugal, we can get the Portuguese keyboard. We can get that one. And then, or you can order multiple. You can order multiple. That's the cool thing about it. And then, input modules. So input modules, this is where it's insane crazy. It's insane crazy. This is where I started going off the rails. So I was like, okay, I want minimum dual 40 gigabit USB 4. I gotta get my dual 40 gigabit USB 4 for my Thunderbolt docking station. So I gotta get 2 of those minimum. I want 2 USB A's. I want an HDMI. I want a display port. I want that Ethernet 2.5 gig. Even though I'm going to connect it to a docking station, I still want the Ethernet one, even though I'll probably never use it. Micro SD, gotta have it. SD card full size, I want one. 3.5-inch audio, yes. The funny thing is you can actually order 2 of them, so you can have dual head, like, I don't know, man. It's a cool laptop. And then none of this extra stuff. So look at the price. Look at the price. Actually, did I get the right, yeah, okay. So look at the price. $3,162. $3,162 with the Radeon integrated and Radeon discrete GPU, both. Did I get the bezels? Did I forget to choose bezels? Oh no, black bezels. I thought you're supposed to choose like a 2-pack. Spacers. Oh yeah, 2. Okay. Oh yeah, yeah. I want the numpad. I want the numpad. I don't want any of that stupid RGB nonsense. Just want the numpad, and I want the 2 spacers. Don't you need like 4 if you want to go with? Okay, I think that's right. I think it would tell you if you're not choosing everything that you need. Anyway, so yeah, like $3,200. $3,200, and you gotta wait until it's ready. Which is okay, man. Like normally I would be okay with that, but I was like, man, $3,200. The entry point is really steep. But so it's like if you want to support, if you have to look at it like if you're buying a framework, you have to have a different mindset compared to if you're just buying some random gaming laptop, because it's more of like you're buying into something where you're investing in the company that is trying to do something different. It's trying to support repairability and building up an ecosystem where you can essentially do a DIY version of a laptop. It's modular, it's upgradable, you can mod it very easily. They do a lot of testing for Linux, several different Linux distros. I think Mint and Arch are 2 that they test extensively. That is the only, like, they're literally the only company that I know of that extensively tests and recommends Linux distros for their hardware. Lenovo doesn't do this. HP definitely doesn't do this. Dell doesn't do this. None of the mainstream laptop people like Asus, none of them do this. But Framework does do this. So if you're someone who is really into Linux, definitely Framework 16. Absolutely, Framework 16 is the laptop to get. It also helps that it comes with the option for an AMD discrete GPU for Linux, but if you want the NVIDIA 5070, you can have the option now. This is brand new. They originally didn't offer the GeForce. Now they offer the GeForce. So, if I wanted to get the GeForce instead, that would make it $3,500. So $3,500 with the 5070 instead of the Radeon 7700S. But Marcelo was saying, what about a laptop with an AMD GPU? So this is the only one. This is the only one that is new-ish, that has an AMD GPU, but it is not like a current generation AMD GPU. It's not like a 9070 or something in a laptop. So this is what I recommend, guys. If you want like a really nice laptop, obviously you're not going to get this on Black Friday sale because they can't afford to do Black Friday deals because they're too small of a company and they have to ship in batches. So, but if you don't care, like if you want to support them, I highly recommend this laptop. Basically, anyone who's a true tech enthusiast would recommend Framework 16. 680M is still pretty good, man. 680M, it's kind of old now. 680M is from like it's like 3 years old. It's from Rembrandt, from Ryzen 6000, but it's not bad. AMD, for whatever reason, made the decision to not make any RDNA4 laptop GPUs. Yeah, it all comes down to chip allocation. It's all TSMC capacity. That's the reason why. You have to remember, AMD cannot spend as much money as Nvidia and Apple. Nvidia and Apple can spend way more money on buying wafers from TSMC. Now, the companies try to like stagger out which nodes they use and favor different TSMC nodes for their products. But at the end of the day, it is a numbers game, and the richer the company is, the more they can pay for capacity. So it's kind of a tough thing. And they had to prioritize EPYC CPUs for servers, high-end desktop Threadrippers. Well, not really. Threadripper is really not a huge moneymaker for AMD because it's low volume, and it's also technically it's discounted EPYC, so they're not making as much money on Threadripper, despite what the prices of a Threadripper would suggest. But really, their wafers are going to EPYC CPUs for the data centers and servers. The obviously MI300, MI350X, all the AI accelerator things. So that's where all their money went into the wafers, and that's the reason why they had to cannibalize something. And the thing they cannibalized, or not cannibalize, that's the wrong word. They had to sacrifice their mobile GPU, discrete GPU market because that's where they can afford to lose because they're already so far behind Nvidia. They figure, well, let's cut our losses there. We're doing so good in handhelds. The Z2 Extreme, the ROG Ally, the Xbox Ally, the PlayStation 5, the PS5 Pro, whatever's left of Xbox Series X and S. Like they have wafers going to all those different things. So it's like, how many people do you know are using Radeon GPUs? Or let me rephrase that. How many people do you know are interested in buying a laptop that has an AMD GPU in it, compared to people who are willing to buy an AMD desktop GPU? I'm pretty sure that number for laptop GPU demand is less than the demand for the discrete GPUs. So that's why. But yeah, that's something that we haven't really talked about on this channel, like how many, or like whatever happened with AMD's Advantage laptops. Technically, the Framework Laptop 16, the Framework 16 is an AMD Advantage laptop if you configure it with the 7700S. And from what I heard, talking with people from like Level 1 Techs and the guys on that channel that have used the Framework 16 and extensively with Linux, they tell me, man, 7700S with Linux is very good for a laptop because there's a lot of stuff that's lacking in Linux. For Linux support, like NVIDIA Optimus doesn't work properly in Linux, not without like a whole bunch of, I don't even know like which distro to recommend for something like Optimus. Um, there's just a lack of support there. You know what I mean? So, but it works seamlessly here, at least with the AMD stuff. But that's because it's a lot of people just doing it themselves. It's not like AMD is making this happen. It's like random people that are contributing to the Linux distros are doing this. Um, 680M. Well, you know, like 680M is 680M. The Rembrandt. Do they have numbers on it? Yeah, they got numbers on it. It's about as fast as an Intel Arc A380. Or like Met was saying, it's a little bit fat. No, it's faster than 1050 Ti, according to Tech Power Up. No, it's definitely faster than that. It's kind of like an RX. I always thought it was kind of like an RX 470 or a GeForce 1650. Not a 1650 Ti, a regular 1650. So it's within 10% of these GPUs. So that's what I would say. Intel Arc A380 is probably the most modern one. Well, you think about that for a second. The integrated Radeon 680M is as powerful as a discrete Intel Arc A380 or a GTX 1650. And this is 1650 desktop, not 1650 laptop. There's a difference. 1650 laptop is like around a 1050 Ti, which is slower. So the other way to say it is the 680M is like 10% slower than a PlayStation 4 Pro, PS4 Pro. So it's kind of like that. Okay. Well, actually, I probably should turn frame gen off for this benchmark because this is probably going to mess everything up. Yeah, I gotta turn off the frame gen, man. It's the LSS frame gen's gonna screw everything up going through the PCIe tunneling mucks. Turn that frame gen off immediately. Turn it off, turn it off. Well, actually, I don't know. Maybe we'll turn it on. We'll leave it on and see what happens. I don't know about this. I don't trust this. Well, we gotta run. Okay, hold on. We gotta run it on. Let's just do high preset or whatever. No, let's do high preset. Okay. It messed it up again. What resolution is this? Why is it that every time I switch over to the game, it becomes gigantic? It's 1440p, so why does it keep... Okay, here we go. Benchmarking now. This is going to be a completely invalid run because we're doing a live stream and we're running all this stuff through a mux and everything. It's like all messed up. It's the most jank setup I've ever done. Okay, there it is. AMD Ryzen AI 9 HX375 with Radeon 890M, which is doing absolutely nothing. And then NVIDIA GeForce RTX 5080 laptop GPU. What's hilarious is that there's a third GPU that isn't even mentioned, which is actually the one that's outputting it to the screen. Will the Steam Cube be upgradable? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so.
There's so many.
Man, this is loud. Hold on. Wow, this is real loud.
They're exceptionally agitated. Could they be chasing something? It's a person!
You know what? the fan noise on this laptop is not that loud. It's not that bad. I can hear it, but it's not annoyingly loud. And that is the nice thing about the HX 375. The HX 375 is like a 30-watt CPU for mobile. Secret RAM kit is now over 300. Oh, well, it's, yeah. Yeah. Well, my other one is over 500, I think. But yeah, you're talking about my 8000 kit. Yeah, that one's definitely up. The higher capacities are the ones that are super overpriced right now, though. I don't know if I turn on... See, the cool thing about the RTX 50 series, this is literally NVIDIA's main gimmick, is multi-frame gen. If you're someone who refuses to embrace frame gen, like the frame gen religion, if you do not want to convert to frame gen, I'm sorry, then 50 series is not for you. Because that's literally the 50 series selling point, is multi-frame gen. 2x, 3x, 4x frame gen. We can see we're using right now, according to the Steam overlay, we're using about 35 gigabytes out of my 96 gigabytes of system memory, and we're using 10.7 gigabytes of VRAM out of my 16 gigs of VRAM. This is why 8 gigabyte graphics cards are utterly useless. So, because remember, guys, I was thinking of getting a Lenovo Legion 5 with an RTX 5060 laptop, but when I kept looking at that 8 gigs of VRAM, I'm like, 8 gigs of VRAM is totally not worth it. I refuse to buy a laptop with 8 gigs of VRAM in the GPU. Not gonna do it. Not like let me rephrase it. Gaming laptop. I'm not gonna buy a gaming laptop with an 8 gigabyte discrete GPU inside. The lowest I would go is 5070 Ti with 12 gigabytes of VRAM. But this is why I feel like, man, 5080 laptop is where it's at, because guess what? 5080 desktop is terrible value because it's 16 gigs of VRAM, but in a laptop, it's a completely different story because, hey, you're not losing any VRAM. Yeah, you're losing a lot of CUDA cores by going from desktop to laptop variant, but at least you're still getting all 16 gigs of VRAM. That's why I feel like the 5080 laptop is the most unique laptop GPU in the lineup. I guess technically besides the 5060, because that's also 8 gigs, but that's just trash all around. So the 5080 laptop, at least it keeps its 16 gigs of GDDR7. The 5090 laptop drops from 32 to 24. The 5070 Ti drops from 16 to 12, making the 5080 the sweet spot for that reason. It's weird because my opinion on the 5080 desktop is the complete opposite of my opinion of the 5080 laptop. 5080 laptop seems like good value if you can get one on a Black Friday sale. Do not overpay for a 5080 laptop. And from what I could tell, this was literally the only good deal, man. I was curious of getting I was thinking of getting an Intel Arrow Lake laptop, but then I was like, I saw all the complaints online about the thermals reaching 100 degrees Celsius, 105 degrees Celsius, and people complaining about fan noise. And at first I was like, man, you guys, the people who are complaining about fan noise on a gaming laptop, they need to touch grass and do a reality check, because it's a gaming laptop, it's going to be loud. But then I started thinking, like, wait a minute, what if you run it with like a CPU that doesn't use as much power? Then what would the noise profile be? So that's when I started looking at, well, is there anything out there that has a 5080 laptop GPU with an actual mobile CPU? None of this stupid desktop CPU thing parading around in a laptop. So none of this Arrow Lake HX nonsense, or none of those fire range things. 9955HX, 9955HX 3D. No, 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 no. Those are straight up desktop CPUs pretending to be laptop CPUs. No, I want a real laptop CPU. I want an AI PC. 5070 Ti is the bare minimum for any high-end laptop. Yeah, I know, man. I agree. I agree. The problem is they're too overpriced right now. Although you could probably find some okay deals for similar price point to this. What do you think will be the what do you think will be the RTX 60 series gimmick? Um, I don't know. I don't know. Nvidia is gonna come up with something though. It's gonna be some kind of like AI thing. I know that. I don't know what exactly, but it's gonna do something. DLSS 5. It's gonna be DLSS 5. Automatically generates things that aren't even supposed to be there in the game. You know what I mean? It just fills in the textures with whatever it thinks. Like AI art. It's gonna do AI art in the game just automatically. How much should we realistically spend on a gaming laptop? I would say the realistic price range is gonna be from like $1,400 on the low side to $2,000 on the high side. Do not spend over $2,000 on a laptop. That's my rule of thumb. I wouldn't do that even for a business laptop. So, which are actually way more durable than gaming laptops. But yeah, the range in this day and age, accounting for inflation and all this other random stuff that has moved the price target up, I would say around $1,300 to $2,000. That's kind of the limit that I would personally spend. Somewhere in that range. The lower, the better. But you have to fulfill whatever criteria you're looking for. In my case, the requirement was I need an RTX 5080 laptop GPU, and it can have decent battery life. But knowing that it's a gaming laptop, I don't care too much about battery life, but I want it to have decent battery life. I don't want the thing to like shut off in like 2 hours. It has to get more than like 3 to 4 hours of battery life. Now, I will tell you guys, I'll do a review on this HP Omen Max. I'm pretty sure you guys are probably interested in a review of this. There is currently there's no like in-depth review of this particular laptop on the internet. I found that strange because I was thinking like Jared's Tech, he talked about it recently with just Josh. I watched part of that video, and both of them were saying that yeah, if you can find, they talked about this deal, but neither one of them actually reviewed this particular laptop. They reviewed the one, they reviewed the one that had the Intel CPU earlier this year. But the problem is the Intel CPU, you go research it online, you'll see a whole bunch of people on Reddit complaining about the liquid metal on Arrow Lake CPUs seeping through and there was one guy saying that he suspects that it's because the tiles on the Intel Arrow Lake are slightly like part of them are slightly higher or lower, so the liquid metal can kind of like it kind of gets into these peaks and valleys, and then it's like if you put your laptop in a backpack, the liquid metal tends to like get out of those peaks and valleys and then seep through the spongy uh, perimeter thing that's supposed to prevent the liquid metal, and then it damages the whole thing. So there's a lot of that going on. Thankfully, not every laptop uses liquid metal though. So like if they're using PTM, it shouldn't be a problem. But I just heard people complaining about terrible battery life, terrible fan noise. And then the other thing that was really a huge deal breaker for me personally was OLED screens. I will not buy a laptop with an OLED screen because I'm someone who wants to be able to lower the brightness on the laptop significantly down. We're talking like 30% brightness, 15% brightness, even 0% brightness oftentimes. And if I lower an OLED, which uses PWM backlights, to 0% or even like 30% brightness, there will be terrible PWM flicker, which will cause me a migraine or a headache or eye fatigue. So I cannot use OLEDs on laptops at all. So for me personally, it has to be IPS. So going back to, let's go ahead and quit out of this. Let's bring back up this we were looking at here. I don't know why it keeps on doing that. Okay. Let's go back to this laptop that I'm using right now. So this one, Omen Max 16. If you're looking for the AMD one, the one that I'm using, look for the part number is AK. So 16-AK. If it says AK, it means it's the Ryzen version, not the Intel version. The Intel version is AH. Now you can get the Intel version if you can find it, but you're not going to be able to find the Intel one for less than $2,000 because the Intel Arrow Lake is the equivalent to let's go here. Let's do 275HX. So that one 9955HX3D and HX375. Okay. So this is the one that most of these gaming laptops are shipping with, these flagship gaming laptops. The problem is the Intel Core Ultra 9 275HX. This is literally a desktop CPU just forced into a laptop form factor. So this is almost the exact same CPU. Think of it as a power limited variant of the Arrow Lake desktop Core Ultra 9 285K. The difference is it has exact same cores, exact same everything. Same cores, same threads, 55 watt TDP, though way less power. The desktop Intel Arrow Lake is 250 watt TDP under max load. This is 55 watts, and this can actually ramp beyond that. It can get up to like 75, 80 watts. So not energy efficient at all when you're gaming. It's going to be super loud and obnoxious. But you know what? The AMD one is no better, man. This is the AMD equivalent of this Intel CPU. So AMD has the Ryzen 9 9955 HX3D. Same thing, 55 watt TDP. But the problem with this is so obvious that it's a desktop CPU. They literally took the 9950 I said HX3D, the 9950 X3D, or the 9950X3, yeah, 9950X3D desktop CPU, and they're like, hey, let's just shrink it and put it, not even shrink it, let's just power limit it and throw it in a laptop. Do you know what happens when you do that? The laptop ends up being loud while gaming and have terrible battery life. So for me personally, these two are kind of a no-go because they're hot, they're loud, terrible battery life when unplugged, even when not playing a game. So I'm like, yeah, no. So I was like, I want an actual mobile CPU, and that's what this is, and that's why I have this. This thing is quiet. When you're on battery, you get really good battery life, unlike these two things. And the other thing is, so let's talk about Intel's equivalent of this. Intel has, if you're looking for the Intel version, it's I think 265H. No, that's HX. 255H. Why is it all HX? Okay, here it is. This one, 285H. This is the actual mobile chip. This is a desktop CPU pretending to be a laptop CPU. This is a real laptop CPU. You can tell this looks like it's the same 285K. This, you can tell with this perimeter around it, this is the laptop SoC. So, this and this are rivals. This and this are rivals. So a lot of people are getting this wrong because I see people online that are looking for a good laptop with a 5080 laptop, and they're like, man, is the AMD one worth getting over the Intel one? And the answer is absolutely yes if you care about battery life and fan noise. Absolutely yes, because this is the gaming laptop that I chose to get because I don't want it to be stupidly loud and I want it to actually be usable on battery. And with this, I know it's going to work. Now, if you want an Intel version, you have to get this one. But the problem is all these laptop manufacturers are pairing up 5080 with the stupid desktop thing that's loud and terrible. So, and they're doing the same thing with the AMD one, although the AMD one is like super hard to find. But I'm thinking like, man, why are they doing this? It's like they're they're obviously catering to a bunch of like people who don't know anything about using a laptop in the real world. Like, who's gonna get on an airplane and use this thing on you know what I'm saying? Like, no, no. These, yes. This, yes, absolutely. But these things, no. These things are gimmicks. And if someone's considering these things, they need to build an actual desktop or get some kind of mini PC like Strix Halo or something. But yeah, these two are where it's at. Arrow Lake H and Ryzen AI. That is where it's at. That's the smart man's choice when it comes to choosing a gaming laptop. The Omen is good quality, man. From what I can tell, I'm not going to buy something that's going to fall apart. Now, that being said, HP doesn't have the best track record in terms of quality, but the Omen Max 16, you can go and watch like the reviews online about this laptop. Now granted, there's only the Intel version, but it's the same physical hardware. It's literally the same vapor chamber. It's literally the same everything. So thankfully, HP did not skimp on the AMD version of the laptop. They took the big vapor chamber that's meant for this stupid desktop CPU and they stuck that thing on a laptop CPU or APU. And that's why this thing is way quieter and has way better battery life and way better thermals than this or this. So, like I said, this is the practical, real world choice for someone who actually cares about the longevity and the behavior of their laptop. Not something that's just obnoxious, loud, and has no battery life. You know what I'm saying? So this is the one to get as far as I'm concerned. I did a lot of research, and it just so happens that this is the only one that you can get with the 5080 for under $2,000. You can't get this for under. You definitely can't get this for under $2,000, and you can't get this for under $2,000. So what's holding back the 5080 laptop on price is actually the Intel Ultra 9 or the X3D Ryzen. Otherwise, if you can find one with the HX 375, I mean, that's the way to go. I mean, 28 watts versus 55 watts. Enough said. Yeah, this thing's going to obviously win in Cinebench because you're going to blast power, man. Like, this is the laws of physics. Same thing with this. You blast power through the CPU, you're going to get a bigger score versus something that doesn't use that much power. So that's, I mean, look at this, 12 cores, 24 threads versus 16 cores, desktop cores versus 32 threads. Yeah, no. This isn't going to win in terms of performance numbers for CPU benchmarks, but it's going to win in like quality of life, battery life, where it counts. Where it actually counts, this thing wins. So that's why this is the no-brainer. This thing has full integrated USB 4 support, just like Intel's Arrow Lake H. These two CPUs, actually this one, I think, yeah, this one should have integrated Thunderbolt. Yeah, it does. So this one has integrated Thunderbolt 4. There is no CPU today that has integrated Thunderbolt 5. If you see an Intel laptop that has Thunderbolt 5, they're using a chipset called Barlow Ridge, and that is not going to have the same performance of a true Thunderbolt 5 port that goes direct to the CPU. So keep that in mind. So right now, basically, anything that has Thunderbolt 5 is a gimmick. We've proven that. There's going to be a video that proves that on this channel. So Thunderbolt 4 is where it's at. Thunderbolt 4 is where you get the full, like, low latency integrated Thunderbolt 4 on Arrow Lake. Thunderbolt 5, they're going to use a chipset that's going to waste battery power, and unless you have a true Thunderbolt 5 peripheral that can take advantage of 80 gigabit speeds, it's not worth it. You're going to want to wait until Panther Lake, um, Zen 5, etc. You're going to wait for those things. Those things are going to actually bring Thunderbolt 5 and USB 4 V2 to the mainstream. Okay, but anyway, moving on to this, the main thing I wanted to point out is this is the CPU, so dim, so it's upgradable. You can go all the way to 128 gigs of DDR5, 890M, best integrated graphics on the planet. This thing destroys all the Intel integrated graphics. This thing completely obliterates the integrated graphics on the 9955HX3D. Intel's integrated graphics, I think this one, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know. I don't think this one has the same one. Arc XC LGP 64EU. Yeah, this one. Oh, yeah, see, again, man, these desktop things parading around in laptops is just garbage. So, like, this thing has the worst integrated graphics. The 9955 HX3D has the worst integrated graphics. No AV1 encoding on the Ryzen 9 9955 HX3D integrated graphics. Absolute worst integrated graphics. But anyone who's considering buying a 9955 HX3D CPU or laptop, um, they probably don't care about integrated graphics because this is the sort of CPU that's meant to go with a laptop 5080 or a laptop 5090. Like, that's hands down. So it doesn't care about integrated graphics. This thing also has terrible integrated graphics, but this thing's integrated graphics are miles ahead of this thing's integrated graphics. This one does have AV1 encoding, unlike this one, but this is still useless if you're going to try to game on battery using integrated graphics. It is utterly garbage. Just not as garbage as what's on this for integrated graphics. Now, then you step up to this one. Arrow Lake Ultra 9 285H. This one is Intel's best integrated graphics that you'll find on a mobile laptop. So this one has their Arc Graphics 140T. Yeah, this one's got the 140T. That's how you can tell this is meant for laptops. This is a true laptop CPU from Intel. 45 watt TDP, 16 cores, no hyperthreading, BGA socket. There you go. The true Intel laptop CPU. This is the rival to the Ryzen AI 9 HX375. This one has the best integrated graphics. So it's like worse integrated graphics, better integrated graphics, even better integrated graphics, best integrated graphics. That is the hierarchy. So you have like AMD at the bottom, then you got the two Intels in the middle, and then you got the AMD Ryzen AI at the top. So if you want the best gaming experience on integrated graphics when on battery, this is the one to get. See, so I think about all these things when it comes to choosing a laptop. I want the best integrated graphics because that's what matters, while also maintaining the best battery life. This one's going to get better battery life. This and this have terrible battery. This has the worst battery life. This has still bad battery life. This has significantly better battery life than that other Intel. And this and this are on par. The Intel one is kind of interesting because the Intel one might actually be able to throttle really way down, but this can throttle down to like 3 watts, man. It's insane. So it really depends on when it comes down to these two in terms of battery life. It's going to come down to BIOS tuning and the size of the physical battery. So it's like if someone sticks an 80 watt hour battery with this Intel Ultra and they put a 99 watt hour battery with this, obviously this is going to get better battery life. Assuming the same BIOS tuning for idling, because this is a monolithic. This is not a chiplet, This is monolithic AMD. This is chiplet AMD. And chiplet AMD, you guys know, has higher idle power. So in a laptop, it's going to have god awful battery life because of that, versus monolithic AMD. And then Intel has their pseudo monolithic slash tile based chiplet stuff. So really, really interesting stuff. Have you heard, Red, that we may see the price come back down to 1,800 near Blade Runners under the current? Um, um, are you referring to this laptop? So if you live near a micro center, guys, if you live near a micro center, you should be able to find this laptop for $1,800 right now. Amazon and Newegg do not have that price right now, unfortunately, unless Newegg updated theirs. But if you live near a micro center, you can literally go into a micro center tomorrow, assuming they raise. If they raise the price, I mean, maybe it's not available again. But Micro Center has this laptop with the HX 375 and an RTX 5080 laptop for $1,800. That's what I paid yesterday. Just saying. So it comes with 32 gigs of SODIMM DDR5. It comes with 890M integrated, the best integrated graphics in a laptop. The best laptop that's not going to destroy, like you're not going to have to sell a kidney to get a 5090 or anything. So you're still getting the full fat 16 gigs of VRAM, same amount of VRAM that you get on a desktop version. So 5080 laptop. The FreeSync, the hybrid graphics Optimus. It comes with a 1 terabyte Gen 4 X4 NVMe. You can install a second SSD. I personally have installed a Lexar 4 terabyte. So I've got 5 terabytes total of storage on mine. And then it comes with all this other stuff. It is IPS. IPS, which I want. I don't want OLED for the reasons that I explained. It must be IPS. So when I saw, ooh, it's IPS, check mark. It's 5080, check mark. It's the good Ryzen laptop, check mark. It's actually the best one too. It's the HX 375, not even the HX 370. So this one has the more aggressive boost, and this is the higher bin. This is like the best binned Ryzen AI 9. So it's like, oh, it comes with that too. Wow. So I was like, an 83 watt hour battery. Ooh, this is very nice. It does have that annoying MediaTek Wi-Fi 7, but I'll tell you guys, when I set up this laptop yesterday, the MediaTek Wi-Fi 7 was god awful, but you update the driver. Update the driver, problem solved. No more issues with random disconnecting. So the MediaTek Wi-Fi 7 is not that good, but update the driver, problem solved. So it's an easy thing to fix. And then, so like since I updated the driver, I'm not having any issues with the Wi-Fi 7. So totally fine. Dual Thunderbolt 4. We're using it right now extensively because we got an eGPU connected. RJ45 2.5 gig. 2.5 gig Ethernet. I can confirm it's 2.5 gig. I literally have it connected to the switch on 2.5 right now. I'm using the headphone microphone combo. So I'm literally like demonstrating all these features. HDMI 2.1 output. Oh, also for those curious, the HDMI 2.1 output is directly connected to the 5080 laptop GPU. So you don't have to go and mess with hybrid graphics or Optimus or advanced Optimus. You don't have to do anything. If you connect your big fancy gaming monitor to the HDMI port on the back of the laptop, yes, on the back of the laptop, not the side of the laptop, on the back of the laptop, you will get it direct connected to the 5080 laptop for maximum performance, lowest latency. Kind of heavy, but it's a gaming laptop. But it's not as heavy as those stupid 17-inch things. Massive, massive charger. Where's that charger? It comes with a big charger, man. 330 watt AC adapter. If you're getting the 5080 model, like the one that I have, 330 watt AC adapter. 83 watt hour battery. 83 watt hour battery plus Ryzen AI 9 HH375. That means good battery life. good. This thing gets good battery life for a gaming laptop. It is very good. It is above average battery life for a gaming laptop because it doesn't have one of these stupid desktop CPUs pretending to be a laptop. These two have awful battery life. This Intel Arrow Lake, this one has good battery life for Intel, and this one has good battery life for AMD. So you put a fat 83 watt hour battery with a mobile 28 watt TDP chip, you're going to get good battery life. So, yeah, I can confirm it has good battery life, and it's not loud. It's not loud because it is an actual mobile CPU, not some stupid desktop CPU. So, really good stuff. It does come with Windows 11 Home. Keep in mind, it's Windows 11 Home. That's whatever. It does ship with some bloatware. It's got a McAfee on there, 30-day trial. It's got the Office 365, and then it has all of the HP stuff. So that's something to be aware of. There was something that I uninstalled, and it's something for HyperX. HyperX Ingenuity. HyperX Ingenuity I kept seeing in the bottom right of the task bar. I kept seeing like network location access, network location access. It kept on popping up again and again and again. I'm like, dude, what app keeps checking my location? Like, what is going on? I Google it. People are saying it's the HyperX app that ships with HP Omen gaming laptops. Sure enough, I uninstalled the HyperX app and problem solved. So there is some random bloatware on there just to be aware of. But that's you just go in Control Panel and uninstall the bloatware. It's super easy. It takes less than 5 minutes. So anyway, it's pretty good, man. This is a pretty good laptop. So I'll do some videos about it. So stay tuned for that. I'm gonna do a review. It's gonna be compared to my Lenovo Legion, which is like 5 years old, 5.5 years old. So see, the thing is, like, I know a lot of reviewers when they review laptops, they compare new laptops to each other. I like to compare my old laptop to my new laptop so I know how much of an upgrade it is. So my old laptop is a Lenovo Legion 5 with Ryzen 7 4800H plus the what was the integrated, someone whoever knows what the integrated graphics is on there, tell me what that is. I don't remember. And then it has GeForce GT, not RTX, GTX 16, no, is it 16? 1650 Ti. 1650 Ti in a laptop. This is my old gaming laptop. So it's the new one is HP Omen Max 16 with Ryzen, what is it? AI 9 HX 375 plus 980 or 890M. It's the integrated GPU. And then GeForce RTX 5080 laptop GPU. That's the difference. That's the difference. So this is what it's gonna. This is the competition. This one versus this one. New AMD versus old AMD. New NVIDIA versus old NVIDIA. Apples to apples. Gamer laptop versus gamer laptop. This is a 16 inch. This is a 15, 15.5, 15.5, 15.6 inches. This was back when they were doing, 16 by 9. 16 by 9 versus 16 by 10. So Ryzen 6L is when the iGPU started to get beefy. Yeah, I know, man. 680M. It started with 680M. It went 680M, 780M, and the current one 890M. There is also an 880M. There's an 880M. But yeah, you're right. I don't know what this one has. Renoir was an interesting one. Renoir was when AMD laptops they started beating Intel in energy efficiency. It all started with Ryzen 4000. That's what I remember. Ryzen 4000 on laptop was when everyone started looking at AMD laptops because the CPU was so good in terms of battery life. Because Intel was better than AMD on battery life for a very long time until Ryzen 4000. Do you think it's worth it to buy Crucial Pro 96 gigs, DDR5 5600 for 400 now, or should I wait? Maybe a better deal. Are you talking about? Oh, this is for a desktop, right? This is not SODIMM. This is actual uh, DIMMs, like the ones for desktop. That is very expensive, man. That's very expensive. But I don't think it's too expensive though. So I'll give you a good example. I spent, for reference, for those wanting to know how much I spent on RAM, I'll tell you what I paid. I paid $229 for that, and I paid $349 for this. That's how much I paid for these RAM kits. So for a 96 gig kit that I bought like almost a year and a half ago, or was it? Yeah, like a year and a half ago. I spent $350 18 months ago for 96 gigs of DDR5 6400 CL32. I guess I should also tell you guys cast latency. CL32, CL40. 1.35 volts, 1.35 volts. Both. Those two kits are extremely good. Low voltage, good cast latency, high speeds. I mean, if you need it now, you need it now, man. That's the prices are not going to go down anytime soon. I can tell you that. By the way, I was talking to the sales guy at Micro Center when I was buying that laptop. He was telling me, because I asked him about DRAM. I asked him like, do you guys have any insight into when the DDR5 prices will come back down? He told me that they literally had a staff meeting on last Wednesday, and they told everyone. Now I don't know. I mean, I'm not really leaking anything, so I guess I can go ahead and say this, but he said that in the staff meeting, they were told from the higher ups, communicating to the sales employees and basically everyone that interacts with customers, they were told to expect no earlier than July of next year for price stability on DDR5. So take that for what it's worth. That's coming from a Micro Center salesperson who gets insight into the supply chain. So DDR5 is not going to become cheaper. Not going to become cheaper for a while. So if you have to have that RAM, unfortunately, you're going to have to pay that $412 for that much RAM. It's not that much more. Like for your capacity, you're getting it's a lot slower than this, but what is that? That's like $62 more than what I paid 18 months ago for a higher end kit. So, I don't know. So basically summer of next year we'll know when if RAM will start coming back down. So that's a long time to wait. If you're going to hold out. So at this point, if you're somebody who wants to like if you don't want to spend on RAM and you're on DDR4 and you're okay with waiting a while, you might as well at this point just wait another year to upgrade. Just wait for Zen 6 and whatever Intel's gonna do. I mean that's what I would. Personally, it's hard for me to actually do that because I'm a tech enthusiast. It's like if I didn't already have because I upgraded last year, right? Like if I hadn't upgraded last year, I don't know. I'm so glad I upgraded last year though. Your only gripe with the the nomination. Remember I told you that Donkey Kong might get nominated for Game of the Year? You know what my annoying thing about Game of the Year stuff or just the Game Awards? Dude, where was Night Rain? Night Rain was nominated for like one or two things. And then Monster Hunter Wilds was nominated for best RPG. It isn't even an RPG. Like what are they doing? Like that's an action adventure game. Like dude, when I think of an RPG, I think of a game that has an actual leveling system, level 1 to level whatever. Monster Hunter doesn't have a leveling system. Yes, you progress because you go from low rank to high rank and you get better gear and you craft better weapons that deal more damage. So there's kind of like a progression, but it's not character leveling. Like character leveling is an RPG thing. It's an aspect of a role-playing game. Monster Hunter is not a role-playing game in that regard. So I don't know what they were thinking with nominating Monster Hunter for best RPG. Like, dude, I don't know. And I think they put Battlefield 6 in like best action I hope they didn't put I saw Battlefield 6 in something with the action adventure category, which made me think like why don't they have a dedicated first person shooter? Like why don't they give awards based off of video game genre? Like what are these stupid like they lump all these different game styles into a category and I'm like how can you objectively compare these games? They're so different from each other. One of them is a first-person shooter that has a very uh, hefty multiplayer aspect to it, and another one is like a single, like you know what I mean? Like I don't know what they were doing. Indiana Jones was in one of those, and then like a multiplayer game was in there with the same category. I'm like, nah. The Game Awards has fallen so far from the tree in terms of relevancy in my mind with the way they did things this year. And then it's like, you know how we were talking about how Expedition 33 is probably going to be game of the year? Dude, Expedition 33, I feel like that game was nominated for way too many things. Way too many things. Expedition 33 was on so many categories. Like outside of best soundtrack and game of the year and maybe art direction, I don't think the game was worth nominating for all those other categories that they put it in. Like, why? Like, okay, RPG, yes, but some of those other ones, like, no. I don't know, man. Expedition 33 is Death Stranding 2 and Expedition 33. Both of those games, there was like 3 or 4 games. Hades 2 was another one. Hades 2 and Death Stranding 2 were in so many categories, and E33 was in almost like every category except games for impact and accessibility. You know, like and all the esports stuff. Like I don't know what they're doing. I don't know who they have on this committee that decides these things, but clearly, I don't know. Well, see, that's why they need to do things by genre. Like they could do action RPG, and that could be more of like the genre that you're talking about, like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and they can do the traditional RPG that's like a turn-based RPG or whatever. I mean, that would be E33 right there. Silk Song, yeah. I haven't played Silk Song either. I personally think Expedition 33 is going to win Game of the Year. I think it's going to beat Death Stranding. It's going to be it's between Death Stranding 2. Realistically, it's between Death Stranding 2 and Expedition 30. HDZ said it, man. It's between those two games. Those are the top two games. Like you can tell because those two games were almost in like every category that actually mattered. You know what I mean? Outside of Game of the Year. Golden Joystick is the more meaningful game of the year at this point. Ghost of Yote also got a lot of nominations, which I don't even think it deserved a lot of those nominations. I think Expedition 33 is gonna win. Like between that and Death Stranding 2, first of all, I more people are going to have played E33 because E33 was a multi-platform game. Now that doesn't mean that it's guaranteed to beat Death Stranding 2 because Astrobot won last year and that was a console exclusive. So, and then remember when the Zelda game won Game of the Year? I mean, that was a console exclusive. So just because Death Stranding 2 is a console exclusive doesn't mean that it's going to lose or win compared to Expedition 33. I I think Expedition 33 is going to win though. I think it's going to win. You think Death Stranding 2 is going to win the actual one, and you think E33 is going to win Player's Choice? I don't know. I know Jeff Keighley. I know Jeff Keighley when he interviewed the producer, like the main director or producer, um, Gillian or whatever his name was. I think Gillian. When he interviewed him, he already kind of implied, that those guys are making waves in the industry, and it was like that scene at the end of The Phantom Menace where Palpatine was like, we'll be watching your progress with close, whatever he says to Anakin at the very end of episode 1. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like that kind of moment where he says that to Gillian and it's like, we'll be watching Sandfall with great enthusiasm. Like that kind of thing. So I don't know. I kind of think that committee might choose E33 over Death Stranding 2. Death Stranding 2 is a very, very good game. It is a very high quality, high production, very good game. Fascinating, lots of game mechanics, very deep. There's a lot of depth to Death Stranding 2, but that's true of every Kojima game. The thing about Death Stranding 2 that makes me think that it'll lose is it the only thing it does differently from the original Death Stranding is it makes the game more accessible, more approachable early on. Death Stranding 1 had this slow burn in the first like 3 to 5 hours that were really kind of like the opening part with the scary, like the BT in the background and the rain, all that stuff. Like that draws you in, and the first part with the guy that dies, that gets crushed by that thing, and if anyone who knows what I'm talking about that played the original Death Stranding, like that part, the first like 45 minutes of Death Stranding 1, I guess the first hour is really good. It draws you in Death Stranding 1. But then after that, when you start traveling across the terrain on foot, it gets it slows down, it grinds to a halt. And the thing that Death Stranding 2 fixed the pacing. It's so much better. You don't lose interest in the game after the first prologue section. Like, like after you leave Mexico, the game doesn't become boring. You know what I mean? Like as soon as you get to Australia, the game is not immediately boring like it was in Death Stranding 1 for like this weird from the second hour into like the fifth or seventh hour or whatever. It's like this super boring part of the game. But like Death Stranding 2 did not have that at all. So Death Stranding 2, it fixed the pacing. It was perfected in that regard. You get vehicles early on. So the crafting element to the game is available very early on, and the combat's, you encounter BTs way, way earlier than you do in the first game. So it has the advantage from a narrative standpoint because it's already expanding off of an existing world. But it's a sequel, and it ultimately, in my opinion, Death Stranding 2 doesn't do anything revolutionary from Kojima. It's just a rock solid entry in Kojima's portfolio of excellent games. You know what I mean? Like it's not like, oh man, Death Stranding 2 is so generationally defining. I mean, it kind of can be thought of that way, but it's at the end of the day, it's probably not. So nah, I think Expedition 33. Expedition 33 is one of those games that I said this like when I was playing it. It's one of those games that you rarely ever see that just randomly shows up like once in a decade. and it's like this special experience, and then it's gone, and then that's it. Like it's that kind of game. So, and you don't really get that many type of games like that. So, like I keep thinking of the original Kingdom Hearts was kind of like that. The original Nier was kind of like that. Um, yeah, it's just one of those rare experiences. Maybe the first Dark Souls was similar. Like you don't get those type of games very often. So I think it's gonna win. I think it's gonna win. It'll definitely win Player's Choice. But the question is it gonna actually win the real, like, is it gonna get the trophy? You know what I'm saying? I think it is. I think it's probably gonna beat Death Stranding 2. Donkey Kong Bonanza will definitely win. Are you sure? Because Death Stranding 2 is a console exclusive. Ghost of Yote, Death Stranding 2, and Donkey Kong Bonanza are the big console exclusives. I don't think DK Bonanza. I don't think so. I think it's probably going to be Death Stranding 2. Death Stranding 2 is probably going to win best console exclusive. But I think Expedition's going to win Game of the Year. Anyway, but we'll see what happens. We have like what 3 weeks? It's 3 weeks, so go vote, go do your voting, whatever. That was it. A look at eGPU and laptop GPU. We've already looked at integrated graphics. I think when I streamed with Strix Point previously, we looked at integrated graphics on a ThinkPad. So yeah, this laptop is one that I kind of needed so that I would have the ability to test laptop gaming numbers versus desktop. It's a limited time exclusive, but it's still an exclusive. It's an exclusive this year, so it's gonna be nominated for the award. It's probably gonna win the award. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. This was supposed to be like a simple little test. Um, yeah, it's as I expected. Thunderbolt 4 severely restricts the bandwidth of an eGPU. Oculink would do a lot better. So Oculink would probably be on more equal footing with a laptop GPU. But I think Thunderbolt 5 will help narrow the gap a bit. But I feel like no one's really done eGPU tests with anything other than a 5090. And 5090, the thing about that, the 5090, it has so many shaders and just so much hardware that it just brute forces its way through benchmarks despite being on an eGPU enclosure. Um, so it just shoves all the frames as fast as it can down the tunnel, and it's able to keep up. But the reality is it's still severely bottlenecked over the Thunderbolt interface. So anyway, that was what I kind of wanted to test. We'll do some videos on this gaming laptop. I think this is like there's a lack of content. There was one Japanese video on this laptop, and there was someone did a video on it a few months ago, but it wasn't super in depth, and so I'll probably do one myself. And anyway, so if you're looking for let me see here. See, where is. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Micro Center has it on sale, guys. So if you're looking for the one, this is the exact one. We'll bring it up here. This is the one that I'm talking about. This is the one that I'm using right now. So $17.99. GeForce RTX 5080, 16 gigabyte GDDR7, 32 gigabyte DDR5, 5600 SODIMM, 1 terabyte solid state drive. Oh, one thing I will note, remember, there's an empty slot to add a second SSD. However, remember, because this is the FP8, there will only be 2 lanes of Gen 4. on the second SSD. I can confirm this. My second SSD is only running 2 lanes, and it will only run 2 lanes because the 5080 takes up 8 lanes. Right here where it says DGFX, that's 8 lanes. The Wi-Fi 7 takes up 1 lane. The 2.5 gig LAN takes up another lane. Then you have these 2 lanes that go to the second SSD. And then the primary SSD that comes with Windows is already taking up 4 lanes at the end here. So that is a limitation of the Ryzen AI 300 mobile APU. The second M.2 is only going to be 2 lanes of Gen 4. So you'll only get, at best, Gen 3 SSD speeds if you use a Gen 4 or Gen 5 SSD. So just keep that in mind. That's like the one thing about this platform compared to this desktop thing that has like all these Gen 5 lanes, but no one seems to do a good. I haven't seen a good laptop with fire range. Like Lenovo screwed up theirs, and it's stupid expensive. The Asus one is good, but I don't like the way the Asus one looks. And then Intel, I mean, there's a lot of options for Intel, and Intel has this big fat chipset that they can ship with the Arrow Lake laptop. But most of them are actually not buying the chipset; they're just using the SoC Arrow Lake thing there. So yeah, there's some good arguments to be made for both, either one. I mean, I feel like the regular Arrow Lake H is a really, really good option. It has some Gen 5. In fact, it could wire up the 5080 to Gen 5 to 8 lanes of Gen 5 if they opt for the expander. But actually, no, I think they all come with the tile. I think they all come with the tile. I don't know. Some of them might opt not to, but I think this comes with a tile. It says scalable fabric, so maybe the tile is optional for the Dash H and they don't need it, but then they wouldn't be able to hook up a GPU. So I guess they do come with the tile. So yeah, Intel's interesting on mobile. Definitely way more interesting than they are on desktop this time around. It's not that bad for a laptop with 5080. Yeah, I know, man. That's what I'm telling you. Like, that's the deal. That is the deal. I found the deal. I was looking for the Black Friday deal because we always do this. Every year I try to find the best deal. Now, if $1,800 is a lot of money still, regardless, but it's like if you want to find a 5080 laptop for under $2,000, this is the only deal. Like, this is the one deal. And Micro Center's got it currently. So, all right, well, that's going to be it for this stream. Thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you guys on Tech Thursdays this week. We'll most likely talk about I don't know. People might want me to talk about the lower end motherboards like X870 and B850. So maybe I'll talk about those. But I still want to talk about Thunderbolt 4, Thunderbolt 5, USB 4, basically the things to be aware of. It's useful. It's more useful for people on mobile platforms, but who are probably thinking about buying a laptop this holiday season. So we'll probably do that. I don't know. I could talk about motherboards again if people really want to hear about that. But right now, for this holiday season, you're not going to be able to save money on RAM. You're not going to be able to save money on GPUs unless you can find something crazy like this. But you are going to be able to save money on other things like motherboards. So if you are looking at upgrading this holiday season, look for the motherboard deals because that's where you're going to get the discounts, not on other things, not on memory, not on GPU. So anyway, guys, that's going to be it for the stream. I will catch you guys on Tech Thursdays. Until then, take care, and I will see you then. Thanks.